Hi, it's Angie. This fibro vlog is to our families, and we want to be able to answer some of the questions that we've heard you ask before, and we want you to be able to understand so that you'll know and you won't have to guess. What is fibromyalgia? What is it? What causes it? Well, fibromyalgia is an overfiring of the sensory nerves, the nerves that message our brain when something's going on. And it senses pain, but it senses more pain than it's supposed to. So it's like someone turns the volume up on the pain. And it's diffuse pain. It's not, oh, my back hurts or my head hurts or my elbow hurts. It is pain all over the place. And it can't be all over the place, but that's what it feels like. Have you ever felt like you were coming down with something and you're not really sick yet? You're not throwing up and you're not burning up with fever, but you feel like something's not right and you just feel kind of achy, and you might even call out from work because you just feel like you just won't be any good today. You'll be useless, and you woke up like that. Well, for a person with fibromyalgia, that's kind of how it feels. It feels like everything hurts. You hurt when you move. When they say, where does it hurt? Wherever I move, that's where it hurts. You feel worse when you get up in the morning than you did later in the day or when you went to bed. You thought you were going to wake up refreshed, but you wake up feeling like, just give me a few minutes so I could move. And that's a day in a life with a person with fibromyalgia. However, when it's full strength, that's what we call a flare. When we feel like, okay, we're just useless. We might fight our way through the day because we have to, but that's pretty much how we feel. So it makes you wonder then, is it an excuse? It's like the perfect excuse. When you don't feel like doing something, you're having a flare. So, are you lazy? Well, I tell you, most of us would rather not have an excuse. We would rather enjoy life without saying, I can't. And I can't is something we want to avoid saying. I don't feel good is something we want to avoid saying. Which leads me to another question you might have. And these are questions that are probably, they make sense. And that question is, what do you want from me? How can I answer you? You don't want to hear how are you or how do you feel. So, what do you want from me? You want me to care, but then you seem to not like it when I ask how you feel. Well, that's just proof that we don't like saying we don't feel good. That's kind of showing you that if we can get around talking about it, we would rather, because we don't want that to be a normal everyday conversation. I don't feel good, or this hurts, or that hurts. And so sometimes we just feel bad having to say it. It's not you. I mean, it does show that you have compassion because you're asking, but when we got the grumpy face and we don't feel good, I don't know. I think it's just hard when we hear how do you feel or how you doing, and you have to say I don't feel good every day, all the time, for years. So maybe if we can kind of get around that, maybe if it's rephrased to, can I get you some tea, or do you need some Advil, or something that you can do. And you know what? That might make you feel better, and it might make us feel better too, because it's not I don't feel good. Or yeah, we don't want to be playing our little violin. So if we can get around that, and then you might feel good because you actually have some control. You could do something for us. You can get us some tea, even if it's just a symbolic effort. So that might help with the communication. It might help you understand why we get kind of like, ugh, how do you think I feel? It's not nice. It's not the nice way to respond. But when you don't feel good, I don't know. It's just, it goes with being not feeling good as being grumpy. So I hope I explained part of the communication part. Another question is, are you lazy? Well, if lazy means you don't feel like doing anything, if that's the definition of lazy, I guess you could say that. But if lazy means you'll try to get out of doing something if you can, uh, no, because if we can, we'd like to live life like normal people. We'd love to have energy. We'd love to get something done. We'd love to not stop in the middle of something and then have to look at it out of place for the next couple of weeks. That wears on us. That's really hard for us. So, being lazy, I think it's easier to be lazy if you're just lazy and you don't have fibromyalgia. You don't need an excuse to be lazy. You could just not do it. But when you have fibromyalgia, it's the opposite. You probably have fibromyalgia because you weren't lazy enough. You didn't know when to stop. You kept pressing on to the breaking point, or you were traumatized emotionally or physically, and you didn't deal with it, and you kept pressing on until your body dealt with it. It's a trigger. And just like when you have allergies, you're not born with allergies, but then you had something one time too many, and boom, no more shellfish. There was a trigger. So that's kind of how fibromyalgia is. Um, Another question is, you spend time doing what you want to do, what you like to do. How come you can't spend time doing things that you're not really into anyway, like stuff that other people want you to do? We do what we want to do after a long time of wanting to do it. Or we do something we want to do because it's the only thing that made us feel good for the first time in a while, or even for the first time since yesterday, and it makes you feel good. Mentally, you've escaped what you've wanted to escape, and that is not feeling good. So, when you don't feel good and you get your mind off for just a moment, oh, it's kind of a relief. You can sigh, you know? And then it's so hard to motivate yourself to do what you like to do. And what do you think is going to come natural? Putting off what you don't like to do. And then you feel bad about it, or you feel ashamed that you didn't push yourself to do something others wanted you to do, other family members wanted you to do. So then you feel bad and you feel down, and that doesn't make you want to do it anymore. It actually takes away from it, because that's depressing that you're not living up to your own expectations or other people's expectations. So that kind of piles it on. Um, and those are the few things that I wanted to explain: what it is, why it started, isn't an excuse, are you being lazy? Oh, and the last one is, you don't look sick. Well, you've seen us look pretty rough, you'll have to admit. But there's times where we look pretty good because we put a lot of effort into it. And that's one thing we could control. It's not like painting a wall. We can actually control how we look. We can't control how we feel. So sometimes we put a little effort into feeling good or looking good, because that kind of makes us feel good. So hopefully I explained a lot to you. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments. And while you're in the comments, run over to liking my page. And while you're liking my page, please subscribe. And I hope that explains some things for you. Okay, thanks.